Hello and welcome to March to the pod presented by Eternal Roofing. Roofing you can trust with your home. This is season 3, episode 16. We have a Ruston reckoning. Cats versus Law Tech. Law, not latex. Law Tech. I'm Corey Ho, your host, producer, once banned catfans.com member who is ready for Cats football season to come to a merciful end so we can discuss, other things like basketball. You can find me on social media at Corey Hogue Sports. It's all one word, CORYHOGUE Sports. And don't forget to check out my new Substack. Same name, search it, you'll find it. I cover Texas non-FBS football every week. And as always, I'm joined by the real ball knower behind Sports of SHSU on Twitter and Instagram. All one word again. The COO of the Cat Fund, proud Bearkat himself, Ben Sorrells. And Ben, it's another week of football, so please tell me something positive.
Conference tournament for soccer is coming up, and basketball is less than a week away.
Oof, I'll take it, man. I didn't get arrested. It was questionable the other day, but I didn't get arrested.
Questionable on the injury report, but you came out of it.
Apparently, walking on a sidewalk is not illegal.
Not today.
Not the other day either, also. Thank goodness, right?
Yeah.
Before this show goes completely off the rails, let's get a word in from our friends over at Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing and General Contracting is your choice for integrity work in the Texas Hill Country. Taylor Andrus and crew provide experienced quality roofing services with a mission of roofing with faith, serving with integrity, and sheltering homes in the spirit of stewardship. Don't just take our word for it. Here's what satisfied customer Pamela Allen had to say about Eternal Roofing. They did a great job on our patio roof, came out quick for a quote. The quote was very reasonable, and they started and finished work well and quickly. Not a bad thing to say about Eternal Roofing. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email them taylor@eternalroofingtx.com.
They have a Twitter account at Eternal Roofing. It's all one word, lowercase. Find them. They are Taylor is putting out videos explaining a lot of things. You want to know about the insurance and how good they are outstanding. I see them and I retweet them from our March to the Pod Twitter account as well, but definitely go find those because he's got good information in those.
Yeah.
Well,
get after it.
Just like women's soccer is going to do. Now, let's talk about this Conference USA tournament coming up. They did lose last Sunday. I hope you were watching and you had your proper church clothes and all the good stuff going on. But they lost 2-0 at Liberty. It gave them the number 3 seed in the Conference USA tournament that begins this Sunday in Lynchburg, Virginia. And here is a graphic for you if you're watching on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. If you're not, you're listening, let's tell you about it. The Cats play number 6 Delaware at 12:30 p.m. Central Time. The winner will play the winner of number 2 Liberty and number 7 Law Tech. Again, Law Tech on Tuesday at 3 p.m. All these games are in Lynchburg, Virginia, so Liberty has home field advantage. The championship game is next Friday, November 7th at 11 a.m. All games are on ESPN Plus. Definitely get there. Definitely watch. Let's support these ladies. They've had a terrific season. So they play number 6 Delaware. Let's get your thoughts, Ben, on that game.
Yeah, it's interesting because Delaware is a team you did not play this year. One of, I think, 2 teams you didn't play. So a little unfamiliar there. I am interested to see how the team responds after that loss against Liberty. I know Coach Ayers in her press conference yesterday said they learned a lot of things they need to tighten up going into conference play. So we'll see what happens. And then I think the travel is another part to watch. I know they're adjusting their travel into Lynchburg compared to what they did on Sunday. So, but they've flown over 6,000 miles the last 2 weeks. You got to fly again to North Carolina into Virginia on Sunday. So how fresh do they look? I think is another thing to watch. But a game that you should be favored in, should win, and probably set up a rematch with Liberty in that semifinal round.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they can meet Liberty again. What are some of those areas, if they get to the semifinals, that they need to correct outside of scoring more goals than they give up?
Yeah, I think you got to get back to your defensive identity. You lost a little bit of that against Liberty, which some of it may have been fatigue, some of it may have been what Liberty was doing. You got to get back to that defensive identity, and Coach Ayers said that the back line calls themselves, I think, the Walls unit of Hunts Vegas or something like that, which is funny because people know the Walls unit.
What?
Yeah,
There's a prison in Huntsville?
Yeah, well, the Walls of Hunts Vegas is what they call themselves. So you got to get back to your defensive identity. I would say 70% of the game was played within 20, 30 yards of your goal. You've got to find a way to win the ball in the midfield, get into attacking position. You had a couple really good chances at the end of the first half that just didn't materialize. You had 2 shots that went just over the crossbar. So you had some chances, but most of the game was played in front of your goal, and eventually you conceded. So you got to find a way to win the ball in the midfield and get some more attacking chances. So that's really the big thing with Liberty. You got to limit their scoring chances and maximize yours, because Ivy Gardner, who is Liberty's striker, I think has 10 goals this year. She's incredible. Limit her touches. I think those are some of the keys to the game.
Embrace who you are. You're in a prison town, or a town that has a lot of prisons. Embrace the color orange. Right? Although when I worked at TDCJ, Texas Department of Criminal Justice, they were white uniforms, not orange. Just, I don't know. Probably still are, maybe.
Details.
Who cares, right? Hey, women's basketball opens its season Monday. In fact, there's a doubleheader at Johnson Coliseum Monday, starting with the women at 4 p.m. on ESPN Plus, and they play the renowned Southwestern Christian. They were 10-17 last year. They're an NAIA school. What are you looking for? What can they gain from this game against Southwestern Christian, and how have the Cats looked in their scrimmages?
Yeah, I'm not too sure about the scrimmages. I haven't heard anything on the women's side, but the big thing that I want to see, especially in a game like this, is if the team is starting to show signs of taking a step forward offensively. Last year, they took a huge step forward defensively, and you returned pretty much your entire starting 5. Want to see them gel from the start, I guess, especially against an NAIA opponent. So want to just see them start to take step forwards offensively, because that was a struggle for them last year. At times, you'd lose a game 50-45 kind of thing in conference play and against other quality opponents, and so you need a little more offensively. So that's the first sign I'm looking for with the women's team. And obviously you won't be able to tell a ton from this game, but hopefully you see some sort of positive results on the offensive side.
Is there anything to be concerned about? That, I mean, Southwestern Christian, they opened Friday against Our Lady of the Lake University at the Nelson Classic in Waxahachie, Texas. And then they play Heston on Friday and Saturday, and then they travel to Huntsville. Does that, I mean, I get their NAIA, but hey, NAIA teams got some talent sometimes. Is that anything to be concerned about?
Not really. I almost feel it's an advantage. It's their 3rd game in 4 days, all on the road too. So, and NAIA teams probably don't travel in a bunch of luxury, and it's not the easiest of travels. So I would say it's almost an advantage. Maybe if you were playing a Power 4 team, it might be a disadvantage because they've got a little more game experience. But against a team like this, I don't really see it being a disadvantage. If anything, it might be an advantage because you're more rested, and you're already a more quality team than they are.
At best, it's not even going to be a charter bus. I mean, they're going to get a van of some sort, and at best, maybe like a Mercedes van that's got some reclining seats or something.
Yeah. Luxury.
Fully luxurious. All right. So the men's basketball, they had a big scrimmage last week. It was the hardwood edition of the Battle of the Piney Woods. The Cats didn't come out ahead in that game. It did go overtime. What did you see from that game?
Yeah, I wasn't there, but I've seen highlights. I've seen some clips from the game. I know people that were there have talked to some people around the program. Really, really bad first half. Really bad, probably 25 minutes to start the game, and that's why you need these exhibition games, is to kind of work those things out. But last 15 minutes of play were truly incredible. I mean, you were down 21 with about 15 minutes left and forced overtime. Kind of started to find your identity, and so I'm not too concerned. This team had a lot of kind of nagging injuries leading up to this game. Nothing serious, like tight hamstring, rolled ankle that kept guys out a week or two. So they haven't had a ton of time to gel as a team yet, and so you expect those bumps and bruises. So that's okay. I think the best sign is probably your guard play looks legit. You got 45 points out of your point guard and shooting guard, and Justin Begg and Cashy Nat hit on both of them last week. I think it was. They're going to be really good, and Po Boy King will be too, but he had a quiet night from the field. I think he was only 2 of 10, so you get a little more production out of him. I mean, those 3 guards you have out there are going to be really good. Biggest concern, probably the post play from your big men. I know you rebounded the ball well, but you didn't get a ton out of them scoring wise. I think you got to find a way to get a little bit more out of them on the offensive side of the ball. So that's probably the biggest concern. Viko Ilic, not really known as a huge scorer coming over from Loyola. Shek Njai is still young also, so you got to find a way to get some sort of production out of your big men. I think that's probably the biggest question going into the season.
What about that defense, though? They gave up.
Yeah.
I know they scored over 100, but they gave up over 100 too.
Yeah, that was a concern last year. There were a lot of games played in the 80s, and I know a lot of that I likened to Damon Nicholas being out, and that was Damon Nicholas's first game in almost 2 years, really, because he missed all of last season. So hopefully they can find a little more of a defensive identity. I think that is a concern also, but hopefully they start to come together a little more as the season goes on. And I was talking to somebody after the game also. The 2 years under Chris Mudge, the team has started slow and then really found their identity later on. Year 1, really tough non-conference, didn't look great, but when you hit Conference USA play, they flipped a switch. It looked like things started to click. Last year, obviously injuries were a factor, but you still weren't playing well. But then you go 5-2 in your last 7 Conference USA games. So these things take time. It's about where this team is in January, maybe February kind of thing. Hopefully they can gel. But yeah, not too concerned, but definitely want to see some improvement moving forward.
It's about being ready when the conference tournament comes around. That's really, because you're not going to get that large bid in Conference USA. You got to win the tournament. That's what it all comes down to.
Yeah, and SFA, you got to give them credit. Matt Brower, their new head coach, former assistant at Sam Houston, they have a quality team. I had heard that they were going to be good this year. Obviously, you don't know how good, but I mean, they've got some dudes on that team, and I think they're going to be pretty good, especially in the Southland Conference. So it's not like you were just playing a crappy mid-major team. I think they're a team that can compete in the Southland, and McNeese didn't look great the other night. I think there's an argument SFA could be the favorite in that league this year.
There's a lot of unknowns with SFA because of the new coach. Jason Plotkin watching on YouTube. Serious question. What is the Kings' favorite po' boy?
Well, and we got to figure it out. And I told you his last name, right? Or his middle name.
His middle name, yeah.
Yeah, Izza.
He is a po' boy. Jason also asked on CSA Oops, the coaches' SIDs put Delaware, Missouri State at the bottom of the preseason poll. I can't imagine that Coach Martin at Missouri State is not going to be a middle of the pack team at worst.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on how the conference race lines up?
To hit on those two first, Delaware I think will probably be one of the bottom 3 teams. Missouri State I've got questions about too. They were 2-18 in conference play and 9-23 last year, and I don't know that they made that big of an upgrade to their roster. I think they'll be a little bit better, but they're probably like a 10-11 in my mind also. I think the conference has Liberty, and I know we talked about it a little bit last week. Liberty looks like the juggernaut of the league. Returned, I think, 4 starters from the team that won the league last year. Kennesaw State's going to be really good. They looked really, really good against West Georgia in their exhibition game. And then 3 through 9, 3 through 10 is just kind of a crapshoot. Who knows what you get out of Middle Tennessee, out of UTEP, WKU, Sam Houston, Louisiana Tech. So it's really a crapshoot kind of 3 through 10. I think in Kennesaw State is probably my number 2 and Liberty's number 1 for me.
I'm a big fan of crapshoots. The men open their season Monday after the women are done. It says 6:30. If the women are starting at 4, I imagine the men's game won't start till closer to 7, I would think. 6:45, 7-ish.
Yeah, because they need, 30 minutes at least to warm up?
Yeah, and a game, depending on, how many times the referee blows their stinking whistle, and timeouts, and it could take a little while. But they've opened Monday against Laterno at the Division III school that was 18-8 last year, lost to Mary Hardin Baylor in the American Southwest Conference semifinals. The Yellow Jackets have switched this season. They're in the Southern Collegiate Athletic Conference, has no bearing on this game at all. And they're counting this game against the Cats as an exhibition and not on their record. I mean, why put a loss on your record like that? So what do you want to see from this team, especially coming off that game against SFA?
Yeah, the thing with Laterno, I was looking at the program history against them. I think they've played them like a dozen times, and every win is 30 to 40 points, which is a lot. But I think you played Southwest Adventist a couple years ago and beat them by 97, I think it was. It's not going to be one of those games. It's a game that you should win pretty comfortably. So that's what I want to see, just a comfortable win from start to finish, handle your business, get out of there healthy. And then 2 things we hit on: defense and play the big men offensively, see what they can do. Hopefully they can kind of enforce their will against a lesser team. So yeah, it'll be a win, but it's not going to be like 100-point win. And we've seen a couple of those. We saw a couple of them in basketball a couple years ago. So Laterno's a decent D3 team.
Yeah, no, they are. They have a pretty good program. They're year after year, they're battling for the conference title, at least in the conference tournament. And there are some games that can be won by 100 points later on in the schedule against,
biblical studies.
Names. Yeah, biblical studies. Yeah, that's always a good. They're going to be tough. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a 10-point game, maybe 15 at halftime, that turns into 30 to 40 in the second half.
Yeah, and that's what we saw last year against Trinity. Trinity's a legit Division III team, like very, very good. They pushed UTSA in an exhibition last year, I think it was, and I think it was probably 8 to 10-point game at the half, and you won by 30 to 35. So probably something similar to that, but wire-to-wire lead. Hopefully it's comfortable. You don't want to be sweating out a Division III game. I don't think you will, but that's kind of the expectation.
If they're sweating out a Division III game, I'm going to want football to keep going. Baby.
Yeah. It should be okay.
If you're enjoying the show, please help us grow by rating and reviewing March to the Pod on your favorite podcast platform or wherever you listen to us. It really does make a difference. Also, we've seen subscriptions uptick on our March to the Pod.substack.com page. We asked you to do now. There's going to be a lot more coming as non-FBS season starts to hit playoffs, and I no longer have 35 teams and that kind of going. We're going to get some more written content up there on our Substack page. So definitely get on there, get on the Substack, subscribe to it. In every episode that we have podcast-wise, it's emailed to you as soon as it's published on there. Also, find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You can find us by searching for @MarchToThePod. Remember, it's the number 2. March the number 2, the pod, all one word. We are proud to be part of the Conference USA Podcast Roundtable. They have shows covering all 12 Conference USA programs.
And we're marching up the standings, too. I think we're like 3rd now in the pick'em.
Ooh, yeah. Hey, yeah. Doing great job on the pick'em. Jason Pluckett says College of Biblical Studies plays 3 consecutive games over 3 straight days to open the campaign. Prairie View, Rice, UTSA. Sam Houston comes after the Ambassadors have taken the time off for Christmas.
That's an awesome mascot, the Ambassadors.
Listen, if the Biblical Studies were playing on Christmas, we'd have a real problem.
That would be an issue.
It would be an issue.
Yeah.
You know what's not an issue? The work you get over at Eternal Roofing. Let's take a moment to hear about our friends over at Eternal Roofing before we come back and preview Law Tech, Ben, not latex. Law Tech.
Eternal Roofing only uses the finest materials in the roofing business while providing an exceptional warranty. Why do they use CertainTeed products? Because they complement any appearance, provide exceptional and reliable strength, and are known for their enduring performance. Here's what Shane Sosa had to say about Eternal Roofing. Taylor and his team are amongst the highest level of professionals. They care about their customers and go above and beyond just doing the job. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539 or email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com.
Okay, we're going to preview Law Tech. Ben, you have a public service announcement for us.
Yes. Did you see who is broadcasting the game on Friday night?
Well, Jack Gordon is play-by-play. The analyst is none other than Ben DiNucci.
Yes, that will be interesting.
Yeah, there's a history between Sam and old DiNucci.
Yeah, and my Twitter account. Yeah, you think he stays for the whole game? I know Cat fans kind of made that joke already.
Oh boy, 7 p.m. Friday, CBS Sports Network. I do find it funny. A couple years ago, DiNucci was trying to play football for the Cowboys, and now he's analyzing Friday night games on Halloween in Conference USA. So
broadcasting the Bearkats.
Broadcasting the Bearkats.
Yes, that'll be fun.
Did he ever beat Sam Houston?
No, I don't think so.
Interesting. He probably.
I don't know if they played either.
We'll see. It is a color rush game.
Yeah,
Law Tech is debuting an all black uniform combination. They've never worn that combination. They haven't had new uniforms in a couple of years. They got, if you look at their media notes and they go through their uniform combinations, they've now got about 18 million helmets. It is incredible. They got money for all that, but Sam Houston can't get an all black uniform. Sam Houston, though, will be wearing the orange. We get black and orange on Halloween.
Baby. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good looking game with the jerseys. I don't know about the play on the field, but the way they look will be good.
Listen, we ain't even gonna try to talk about how it's gonna look on the field, but the jerseys will be nice. Here is what Phil Longo had to say on what he calls a rare Get Better week.
We are coming off of a Get Better week for us. That's typically not the approach I take during a bye week. We usually get right into the opponent. This week we did. We took a step back. We evaluated a lot of things in the program, different situations on both sides of the ball. We addressed a lot of that. We worked a lot on situational football last week. We looked at a lot of our foundational stuff on OD and special teams, and tried to shore up some of that, improve some technique, and clean up some things. And then we jumped into Law Tech towards the end of the week and just finished up our second practice this week heading into Friday night's game. So I like where we are right now. We had some an edge in practice today, which was nice to see, and that's a good sign. We got people flying around, and we were physical, and I thought we played fast today, and we got after it a little bit. So good signs, and we're going to have a polished day tomorrow, and then we got to gear up for this trip to Louisiana.
I don't know that I would have made that comment publicly, because if you've got a bye week, in my opinion, Ben, granted, I don't know football, but sometimes I can be right. You want to use a bye week to get better and improve on you, because the next week you get back into your regular game prep. Tell me if I'm crazy.
No, I don't think you are, and I thought it was an interesting comment also, and it's part of being a new head coach and figuring out your philosophy and how you do things, and this is the third bye week you've had, and I agree. When you have a 10, 12, 14, 16-day gap, I think you should take the first half of it and self-scout and evaluate. I think that's the approach I would take. It sounds like during the first 2 bye weeks, it was, hey, let's take all 14 days and prepare for our next opponent. So I'm glad that they've kind of made that shift internally, it sounds like, to where we're going to spend the first week on ourselves and then the next week on our opponent. And he talked a lot, and not just in that question, but a couple other times about situational football. That was one of their big emphasis during the Get Better week. So we'll see what they look like, what adjustments they've made, and how they look on Friday.
Was there any mention about the coaching staff learning defensive lines or anything?
No.
Interesting. So not that kind of situational football.
Yes.
Yeah. How about fourth down option plays to the short side of the field? No? Okay. Anyway, we're going to move on from that.
Maybe you're eliminating those. I don't know.
I don't know. Look, athletes love routine, and you want to stick with a routine as much as you can. That's why I'm big on, if you have a bye week, that first week is working on yourself, correcting some things, getting back to some fundamentals with certain things you got to improve on. And then when you've got that stretch of how many ever days you take to prepare, you get into that routine of preparing for the opponent. That's just how I think is best to work, because then the athletes understand, okay, now we're getting ready for a game.
Right. I agree. Yeah. And I mean, there's no more bye weeks left this year, but I'm interested to see what it looks like next year.
That will be interesting. Speaking of alignments and reading defenses, Longo was asked about the noise outside the program. We had a deep discussion on that last week, talked a lot about it. Here's what he had to say about the outside noise. This is just over 3 minutes long.
So the outside noise issue, I think, is more puzzling to me than some, because it's never been an issue for me. I don't have time to read or listen to anything. And so it's always been blinders. Let's lock into the next game and move on. And whether you lost the last one or you won the last one. And I think equally, sometimes, we're doing so well at North Carolina at times that the noise our players were listening to was just too much positive praise. When you're not winning, you're listening to the negative stuff. And I wish, if I could give anything to our players, it would be, the ability to just block everything out, not pay attention, and focus in on the task at hand. But an 18 to 22-year-old sees life a little bit differently than I do, and our staff. And social media is a big part of everybody's life nowadays, and it's probably very, very unrealistic and naive to think that these guys aren't going to be aware of what's being said, whether it's negative or positive. And so we talk about blocking out the noise. We're talking about being a professional. We're talking about maintaining some composure and some poise. We need to do that on the field in game, but you need to do that away from the building also, because anytime something that somebody thinks outside and away from the program, who typically has no idea what they're talking about, and they get lucky and they're right sometimes, and oftentimes because they don't know what they're talking about, they're wrong. But when you let their opinions affect your daily routine, you're allowing somebody completely away from the program to affect your progress. And I think it takes a little maturity to understand that. I think it takes a lot of focus to maintain having blinders and working on what really needs to be worked on. And so it's a constant everyday challenge, and I don't think there's a coach in this country that doesn't feel that way, to get your guys to stay locked in and focused regardless of how the season's going. I mean, I always say this, George Seifert, and I know I'm dating myself now, but George Seifert won the Super Bowl, and then they turned around and fired him the next year. And there's always somebody that's not happy with what you're doing. I am more concerned with the belief in the building that our process is a good one, that it works, and we all stay as dedicated to it as the day that we got here, and we're doing that. And we have full confidence, myself and our staff, where we're headed with this program. And right now, the most immediate deal is La Tech. So we're gonna put our best effort into that, and then we'll line it up and get ready for the next.
Okay. Let's first off, this man's ego is so stinking big that I promise you he knows what everyone is saying, even those who sometimes get lucky and are right. And if he ain't looking for it himself, he's gonna have somebody telling him. I promise you. And he's not alone. Most football coaches do that. But I guarantee you he is, because this dude's got an ego, man.
I mean, and that's something we'll discuss more in the offseason, the noise as a whole. I think the biggest thing that I took away from it is he said they talked as a team about drowning out the noise and not letting it get to them. So it sounds like it at least became a thing within the locker room or was a subject of conversation and it had to be addressed. So I don't know how it was brought up, but it sounds like it was addressed. We'll see how players respond. But the fact that it was addressed by Longo and the coaching staff is something notable, I feel like.
I wonder if he made it on time for that meeting. And listen, it's out there. It's out there. There was Bro Bible. Fobbs touched on some of that last week, and it's funny. Sometimes they get lucky and they're right. You're kind of telling on yourself, my man.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. That he brought that up. So I don't know.
Yeah, kind of suspicious right there when you start doing that. That the noise has some validity to it, and even though you don't want the players to hear it, and look, that's human nature too, right? Like it's not like college football coaches are alone and people that search for their name on social media. I mean, you got people all over. If you're in a high profile position, quite often you have a large ego, and that ego cannot take criticism well, and so you search out that criticism. It's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
How it is. Whew, okay.
We'll see how they respond against Louisiana Tech, because some of that stuff that's out there came out during this extended bye. So, and I think, and I've mentioned it a few times, I don't think the players have quit. I don't think we've really seen that outside of one quarter, maybe. I think it was the New Mexico State fourth quarter that you could see the guys kind of lay down, and Longo mentioned that. But I think outside of one quarter, the guys have played hard, so we'll see if it continues to go that way. I hope it does, but it seems like at least the players are still playing hard.
Oh, look, I have not questioned the players' effort at all. Now, do they really buy in? I don't know. Hey, look, Friday's going to be interesting. It just is. Chris Gilstrap, watching on Facebook, thank you very much for watching, says, where's the athletic director during all the chatter? It's been crickets. Did you not hear the podcast he did, Chris?
Well, the fundraising, yeah.
That was his fundraising effort. My bad.
Well, the thing with that too is if you come out and say something, I don't know, you're kind of making it a bit. You're affirming the reports that are out there. I don't think it's gotten to that point yet.
Well, the athletic director, let's face it, he can't say anything.
Right. Well,
like the athletic director, and it's probably, but if he's out here right now giving a vote of confidence, that's really bad news for Longo anyway.
I was going to say the real question is the behind the scenes stuff, what goes on there, which we can't really see and probably won't know for a while.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, look, those conversations happen. There's probably, hopefully, things that have been said. But as far as publicly, no. Bobby's not going to say, and he shouldn't. Bobby Williams should not say anything publicly. And if he does, that starts raising the question of, is he trying to find buyout money, to be quite honest with you?
Yeah, if he's already coming out and trying to defend things. And
they don't want that noise. He's not LSU's athletic director.
Don't you tell me the president's not going to be involved in the head coaching search? The president of the U.S.? That's a whole different story.
Yeah, listen, you've got an athletic director at LSU that's given away a lot of people's millions for some
Yeah.
coaches, man.
Oh, I was gonna say kind of a tie-in with this game in LSU. Did you see that LSU flipped a recruit from Louisiana Tech to LSU yesterday? How does that even happen?
Oh, yeah, maybe look. There are recruits that sneak under the radar, especially high school, right? There are some talented ones, and Cam Ward is one that was extremely talented, really snuck under the radar. Possible, and I also want to say that's why a lot of schools don't tend to offer high school kids like that. That maybe a secret they want to keep hidden from some of these bigger schools until really late in the process, because as soon as they do, the LSUs are on that social media looking. Now they're watching tape as well.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny that he flips to LSU and posts a picture with Brian Kelly 2 days after he's fired.
Was he spinning?
No, just a still shot.
Oh, okay. Cool. Good. Well, okay. Longo had some things to say about recruiting here during the bye week. Let's listen to that.
So, not to disagree with you, but as far as recruiting picking up, I'm not sure when it ever died down, truthfully. We have, it's just been 100%. The minute we have an open hour, we spend it on recruiting. The minute we have an open evening, open afternoon, we spend it recruiting. We did a lot more last week than we had done during a normal work week because of the time. But I'm very, very happy right now with where our high school recruiting is. I think our recruiting coordinator, on-campus recruiting coordinator, our staff, we're organized. We have a plan. We know where we want to be. We're on top of things right now. I like where we are with our high school class. We feel like we're going to be where we want to be in December. And I think really, with as well as that's going, the sooner we're able to close that off, the sooner we can put, all 100% of the rest of our time into the portal recruiting that's obviously coming up in January. So X's and O's and prepping for the next opponent, winning the next game is top priority. And there's only one other, and that's recruiting. And so that's what we do. That's what we do opposite prepping for the games. And, without saying anything, I really can't. We've got our game plan heading into this portal window era, and we know we don't have two like we had last year. So the game plan is a little bit different. We'll be a little bit more aggressive about it, and I'm looking forward to it. But at the moment, we've got to focus in on La Tech.
Always be recruiting.
Yeah.
And if you're not, you're soon going to be looking for a job.
Yeah, a couple thoughts on the recruiting side just as a whole, where they're at right now. And I think I mentioned this going into the season that one of my big gripes was they did not host official visits during the summer, and most classes are about 70% complete during the summer into the season. And so you were behind the eight ball. I think they've done a decent job catching up during these bye weeks. I wish they would have gotten out in front of it a little earlier. They're up to 10 commits. I think you've got to find a way to get that up to 20. You need to fill spots, and you need to build a foundation of this roster for 2 years down the line and start to build your identity. Only with 10 guys right now, I don't know if that's enough, but it sounds like they're going to work this thing through December up until the signing period, and I would hope the number could get to 20. The other thing he said, attacking the portal when that time comes, you need to be attacking the portal right now, not necessarily reaching out to guys, but there have been, 12 head coaches fired. You need to have scouted their entire roster, know who you're going to target, what guys to look at if they go into the portal. So I know the portal's not technically open for another 7-8 weeks, whatever it might be, but you still have to be recruiting and looking at the portal right now, because that is also a year-round thing, even though it's not open right now.
I've already seen some non-FBS guys who are putting out of course that could be Photoshop these days, but the NCAA computer screenshot that they're in the portal.
Yeah. Yeah, you obviously don't want to break any rules or anything, do any of that, but
You're not going to admit it publicly.
or contact guys before they're in the portal. But you need to know, like, hey, if Baylor comes open and Dave Aranda's let go, are there 5 guys that we're interested that we think could play at this level that we think we can go get? You need to know that as soon as he's gone, and so you've got to have your attention on the portal at all times. Also,
there's a lot of rosters that's got no head coach right now, so they should be looking at that. But that takes resources, and in the day of NIL, Longo had something to say about that this week. All this video, by the way, is courtesy of the Bearkat Sports Network.
I alluded to it earlier. It's something that really didn't exist here before, and it does now, and so it kind of changes our resources are very different heading into this recruiting season than they were in the past. And truthfully, like, this transition to the FBS it's a 5-year transition, and this is the 3rd year. This is the hump year. This is probably the most difficult year. Heading into next year, though, we are going to be playing home games for the first time since I've been here. We're going to have our new stadium. We're going to have greater financial resources, and we're going to have returning players that actually know the offense and the defense and have relationships with the staff. None of those things existed last year. There'll also be, revenue streams coming in after next season that don't exist right now because of the new stadium and the changes being made. And the thing that I know the most that I'm excited about is Dr. White, our president, and Bobby Williams, our AD, and everybody that's involved with our football program. They're all aligned. They all know what the emphasis and the priorities are with regards to putting our program where we want it to be. And I'm impatient, so I want it all to happen yesterday. It's a weakness of mine, no question, but I have fought to be patient. I know that we make progress every day. I also know where we're going, and I'm excited about it. But that's the head coach during the day. The head coach on the field and with these players has to be about beating La Tech. And so, there's 2 chapters in my day every day, and that basically describes what they are.
Okay, I mean, look, I don't think it's a surprise. He's fed us a load of bull multiple times in some of these press conferences. Is this another case of some of that?
I mean, I don't think he's wrong to say there's going to be more financial resources. Is it going to be a lot more? Probably not. I do agree that there's going to be some more stability with a group that's coming back next year. There's also going to be home games, which is going to be part of it also. So there will be some positive momentum in the right direction. Is it enough? Not too sure, but we'll see.
Before we get into actually previewing the game, let's get a couple of comments in here. Josh, watching on YouTube, I saw EA defensive recruiter followed a guy that entered the portal from OSU. Not a bad idea.
Well, I don't think EA or Eric Agbaroji, I don't think he's with the team anymore.
Yeah, then okay, but whoever your recruiter should be following some of these guys. You got to get some background on them. Chris Gilstrap on Facebook, what's the over/under on loss to the portal after the season? How many of the current roster's players enter the portal, Ben?
I mean, it's so hard to tell because there's so much season left to play out, and things could really start to move in the right direction, and it might not be as bad as it may be right now. I think you've got 29 seniors. If we're just looking at the 85 scholarship guys, that leaves you with, 55, 56. Yeah.
I did math.
I mean, 25, 30, probably.
That's kind of what I was thinking, and that's a lot.
But I mean, that's not uncommon,
Yeah.
So
No, it's not. Let's get into this week's game. And let's go Corey solo for a second. All right. And before Corey goes solo, Corey's going to do a couple of things that he should have done before he went on the air, and he did not. Okay. Phil Longo never played or coached for Mike Leach. But Sonny Cumbie did. He played for Leach at Texas Tech and joined his coaching staff afterwards. So both coaches, though, are disciples of Mike Leach because Phil Longo sought out his mentorship. When Leach was at Kentucky in 1990s, coaching with Hal Mumme, he decided to go and seek him out and learn that air raid system. But listen, being a disciple of Mike Leach does not make one a good head coach. It also should be noted that the Pirate, as great as he was, wasn't known for superb clock and game management. And you won't see tremendous skills in those categories Friday night in Ruston. It should also be known that one doesn't seemingly own a hairbrush, and the other thinks he could be a Marine. It's a joke, people. It's a joke, okay? Although I could envision Longo eating a crayon. I kid, Ben. I'm kidding. All right. I was in the Army. We all make fun of each other, whether we're talking about the Chair Force. Sorry, the Air Force or the Coast Guard, who knows what the hell they do, or the Navy. We all have jokes about the Navy. I'm not going to get in there. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's an interesting tie to Mike Leach.
It is an interesting tie. And I did not clip the part where he was talking about how he doesn't really know Sonny that well, but he got to know him a little bit at media, all that stuff. I did. Let's get in.
I was going to add one more thing to Eric Agbaroji. He was one of the recruiting analysts last year. Now is the CEO of a sports training group, and so he runs that. So that's what he's doing now.
Nice.
I didn't want to just say I don't think he is. I just that's where he's at now.
Got you. No, hey, we want to be as factual as we can be, even if Corey gets crazy and throws up some pictures of somebody with crazy wild hair. Let's take a timeout on the jokes, people. Something Sonny Cumbie has no idea when to do properly. The series history, the series between the two teams is tied at 2-2-1. Sam Houston is 1-2-1 in Ruston, Louisiana. The first game in the series ended in a 6-6 tie on November 19th, 1926. The lady texture, the Law Tech, dang it. They took the second meeting, 46-0 in Ruston in 1942. Law Tech, they won 55-7 in 1999 in Ruston. Sam Houston picked up the program's first win in Ruston, 42-2 in 2023. Only one game in the series has been in Huntsville. The Cats won that contest 9-3. That was last season. And by the way, the two games that have been FBS, Sam Houston has won both of those. They're playing on a Friday, though. La Tech is 7-9 in games played on Friday since 1990. Their last Friday game was a 24-10 win at UTEP in 2023. I had to look it up for Sam Houston, too. Sam Houston, 6-4 in Friday games since 1990 and 1-1 since they joined the FBS. But this isn't your regular Friday game. This is spooky. It's one of them scary ones. Spooky, scary, Ben. Sam Houston, they're 8-5 on Halloween. What is the lady? La Tech. Sorry. They are 7-5-1 on Halloween, Ben. What do you make any? I know we really can't, but those are interesting. It's a little interesting history.
Yeah. History lesson. I don't know how applicable it is to this year, but I know the one interesting thing is very likely your last matchup with Louisiana Tech. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, am I allowed? Spell it correctly.
Am I allowed to say that? But you're 2-0 against them. Can you find a way to go 3-0? I think that would be pretty cool. Obviously, a tall task ahead of you, but you've had some really good success against Louisiana Tech. One of my favorite memories from that 2023 season was that win at Louisiana Tech. It was your first FBS win against an FBS team. And you had Isaiah Nixon going from linebacker to running back and scoring 2 touchdowns. Just a really gutsy win. So, yeah, you've had some recent success with this team. We'll see if you can send them packing to the Sun Belt with another loss.
Josh is sad to see EA go. So he was a good guy. Yeah. Hey, look, we hate to see it. Things happen, man. Things happen in this business. It is a hard business, no doubt. All right, let's look at. So I got something new this week. Something new this week. I will get to that question in a minute.
That's
Chris.
a good question.
It's a great question, and we're going to get to that. But first, let's take a look. New graphics. So you talk about Get Better Week? Aha! Look at that. Stats comparison. We're going to start national rankings. Total offense. The Cats are 128. There are 135 teams. 134. How many, Ben?
Well, there's 136, but only 134 count towards stats this year because for some reason they don't count first-year transition teams.
Okay, so 128 of 134. That's getting that's down there. La Tech is 110 in total offense. Total defense, Cats are 127. La Tech 55th in total defense. That's second, by the way, in Conference USA, not behind UTEP. Scoring offense, got to put points on the board. Sam Houston's 128. La Tech is 88. Scoring defense, keep teams off the board. Sam Houston 131st. La Tech is 23rd. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's probably the best defense in Conference USA.
I would think so. I am going to put it as the best defense in Conference USA. And in a moment, we'll hear from Phil Longo, and I'm pretty sure he does as well. Penalties, Sam Houston, a little more disciplined in that area, tied for 64th nationally. La Tech, they're tied for 124th. But turnover margin, tied for 64th. The Cats. You talk about how good that La Tech defense is. They are 19th in turnover margin, but that's in the country. What about Conference USA? There are 10 teams in the conference. So here we go. Total offense, Cats 10th, La Tech 7th. Okay. Total defense, Cats 10th, La Tech 2nd. Scoring offense, Cats 10th. I'm saying that a lot. That's like repeat. La Tech 4th. Scoring defense, Cats 10th. La Tech 1st. Penalties per game, Cats are 4th. La Tech 10th. Turnover margin, the Cats are 5th. That's respectable, middle of the conference. La Tech leads at first in the conference. Ben, is there anything to take away from some of those outside the fact that the Cats have their hands full this weekend?
Yeah, Louisiana Tech's not going to really beat you with their offense. They're going to beat you with good defense and not turning the ball over, and they'll turn you over. That's really what it comes down to.
Chris Gilstrap on Facebook has a tremendous question that I have been hoping someone would ask. Does Sonny Cumbie lose his job if they lose to the Cats on Friday? It would be 3 losses in a row. Ben, you go first.
I lean towards no because I think the goal this season was to get to 7-5 and then a bowl game. They would still have 4 games left, 2 of them pretty winnable against Delaware and Missouri State. Maybe you could pull out the Liberty win at home. I think if they lose to Sam Houston and Liberty, absolutely. But I would lean towards no just because he's still got an opportunity to get to 7-5, which I kind of feel is where they wanted him to get to this year. So I'll say no, but 2 more losses really anywhere this year, it might do it.
Listen, if Sam Houston, the worst team in FBS, and we've just seen the numbers, I mean, they pretty much back it up, goes into Ruston and beats La Tech, College Game Day is going to open with Pete Thamel giving breaking news that Sonny Cumbie had to walk to his house from the stadium.
It would have been a tarmac situation, but they didn't have to fly back home.
They didn't have, he would have had to walk all the way, but no. They took his car and said, "You walk home. Give me your keys. You cannot lose to Sam Houston."
You can't. But at the end of the day, I think the goal that you came into this year with is still in front of you. So I don't know. Do they achieve it if they lose to Sam Houston? Probably not. But I think you would probably affirm that with the Delaware loss after it.
If they lose to Sam Houston, I don't know if Ryan Ivey gets out of wherever he's watching the game from without getting inundated with calls and words from boosters.
Yeah, and I know there's some fans that are I've seen one in particular that I follow that is rooting for the team to lose so Cumbie can get out of here quicker, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy to root for the team to lose to get rid of the coach quicker, but maybe if you didn't bungle late game situations all the stinking time, you might have a little more defense to put up.
Yeah.
He does not help himself. He does not at all. All right. That La Tech defense, they're good. They're really good. Here's what Phil Longo had to say about the lady. Not the lady Texas. Damn it, it's La Tech.
Well, they're first for a reason. I mean, you always say about any one player, you want a guy that's a total package guy, and they're really hard to find. A total package defense to me would be what you're looking at in the La Tech defense. They are, I think, very well coached. I think they're very well coached. You don't get a lot of people out of position there. They also know their system. They know how to fit the run game. They know how to adjust to the motions and shifts and formations. They handle tempo well. They do all those things. It's obvious they got off to a good start when they installed everything and did everything, and they've got everybody in line there. So they're playing good football, and they do a good job against the run. They fit the run up really well. I think they're extremely talented on the back end. They've got 4 or 5 guys, individual guys, that I would say we need to be aware of where they are. I wouldn't say they're all game changers, but they're all pretty good. I mean, they're exceptional at their position in that defense, and to me, that's a total package defense. They do a good job against the pass. They fit the run up well. They're great in pursuit. They tackle well in the open field, and so this will be one of the better defenses we've seen this year, and so we've tried to take advantage of the 2 weeks to prep for these guys.
They got a nasty linebacking core, Ben. Nasty. So last game, we saw Hunter Watson went to the locker room at halftime, concussion. Give us some injury updates and anything else you might know about La Tech.
Yeah, injury updates. Hunter Watson is back. Coach Longo talked about that at the press conference yesterday. He's cleared all tests, was practicing this week, so that's a great sign. I thought the first half against UTEP was maybe his best half as a Bearkat. They only put up 10 points, but it should have been 17 because he threw a 60-yard deep ball that landed in Tim Burns' hands that he just couldn't catch. So thought he played really, really well. CJ Brown does not look like he'll play. He's not on the depth chart this week. He missed the last game against UTEP after getting hurt against Jack State. So that's one to watch. Louisiana Tech, they've also kind of cycled through some quarterbacks. Started with, I think his name was Trey Cookhook. He was a junior college guy that came in and won the job, lost the job. And then there was a game where they played 3 quarterbacks because Blake Baker, who was their second string guy, came in and got hurt. But it sounds like Blake Baker's going to be the guy again. He started their last game against WKU. So quarterback battle's been kind of a thing for them also. We'll see what they do, but it should be Blake Baker. But yeah, an offense that's going to be a little limited, a defense that's going to be really good, and that's what you can expect from them.
They do have a couple of skill players on offense that are fast.
Yeah.
A couple of really scary ones.
Yeah, and Blake Baker's been okay since he came in. He'll be a guy to watch. I mean, they put up 27 against WKU. They put up 30 against Southern Miss, 49 against New Mexico State. So they can score at times. They're just not very consistent.
All right. We're going to come back with a Cat Fund update and our spot on, take them to the bank predictions for this game Friday night. But first, let's hear about our friends over at Eternal Roofing and why you right now had better be on that list for them Christmas lights.
Eternal Roofing is locally owned and dedicated to giving back to the community by supporting local organizations and charities. They are also the winner of Next Door's Neighborhood Faves for 2 consecutive years. And as you know, if you've listened to this podcast, Eternal Roofing is your choice for Christmas lights. They provide premium lights tailored to fit your home, season-long maintenance, and hassle-free removal. Kyle Tatum said, "They're very professional and great quality, on time and clean, and really made me feel like they cared for me and my home." Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com.
All right, Ben. Floor is yours, man. Tell us about Cat Fun.
Yeah, cat-fun.com. There you go. Look at that. It's a couple weeks in a row we've gotten it right. Sign up and become a member for as little as $10 a month. We need your support. It takes everyone. And I think we might be having a little giveaway, signed basketball here soon in the next few days. So be on the lookout for that on social medias and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, definitely want to sign up, support Sam Houston athletes. We need you, and it takes every single one of us.
It takes all of us, says the NFL End Zones. All right, let's get into the predictions. But first, let's look at where we're at after the UTEP game. Last game, UTEP was favored by 2.5 with a total of 47.5. Ben said Sam Houston would cover and win 23-21 and went under the 47.5. I used that old reliable AI and ChatGPT, and it didn't let me down, Ben. 26-23 I had for UTEP. They won by a lot more than that, 35-17, and they covered and over. I'm on a heater now. I get that's just a heater. It's automatic. On the season, Ben against the spread, 5-2, 4-3 on the totals. I'm 3-4 against the spread on a heater, 2-5 on totals. Starting to get hot.
Yep.
Let's look at what they have for this week. Lines courtesy Bet365. It opened La Tech minus 17.5, a total of 49.5. Now Bet365 has it at minus 17. I've seen some go down to 16.5. I prefer the 17 because it makes for easier math when I do the Vegas projection. A total of 49. Vegas says La Tech wins 33-16. Some notes. Sam Houston is 1-6 against the spread this season and 5-2 on overs in their games. La Tech 5-2 against the spread, but they've lost their last two. And the under when the Bulldogs play is 5-2. Interesting. All right, let's get to it. Ben, who's going to win?
Yeah, I've got Louisiana Tech 30, Sam Houston 20. I think the Sam Houston offense will score a little more than their projected. Hunter Watson in the offense, I think, probably had their best half of the season against UTEP in that first half, so saw some encouraging signs there. UTEP's pretty good defense also, so slightly over on Sam Houston's team total, give them 20, Louisiana Tech 30. Louisiana Tech forces a lot of turnovers, plays good defense. I think they maybe find a way to score on special teams, defense, something like that. 30-20, so Sam Houston covering, slightly over, and closer than the experts think, like Lee Corso used to say.
You have an easy cover for Sam.
Yeah, by 7 points, yeah.
Yeah. Listen, last time I went with ChatGPT, and I scored double prizes with a UTEP covering it over. This time, ChatGPT says there's a 45% probability that La Tech covers the spread with a comfortable win. That's the words it used. ChatGPT says a comfortable win is the Bulldogs 31-13 or 34-17. However, it says the average expected final is La Tech 30, Sam Houston 14. The average total is 44. That's an under. So the averages that the expected is Sam Houston to cover and under. Right? Most metrics project the score under 49. Guess what, Benjamin?
What's that?
They're all wrong, dude. It's not even going to be close. La Tech wins easily. Cover the spread in the over. Give me La Tech 38-17. I'm telling you, it's just that kind of year for the Cats.
We'll see. And I know we've said it's a turning point for a while now, and I know the season's probably not going to be great overall, but do the rest of the games look competitive? I think it might hinge on this game. If you can keep this one close, maybe you keep guys bought in. If it goes off the rails and you lose that kind of game, maybe it goes south and the rest of them don't look very good.
I stopped buying in a couple weeks ago, and so far it hasn't done me wrong. You know what else is good? I've got a high school game Friday, so I don't have to watch. That's a wrap. for this episode of March to the Pod presented by Eternal Roofing. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. We'll be back next week with some more Bearkat athletics coverage. We will talk about the La Tech game. We'll get ready for the next game. But until then, Ben, take us home.
Yeah, eat 'em up cats and beat the Louisiana Tech.
Damn it, Ben, it's not the Lady